Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Well, my mama said I needed to review this guitar. That's right, I finally found one of these rare beasts. This is the Lenny Kravitz Signature Flying V, done up in the year 2002. So, allow me to extract from this box before I tell you more. But I will say, I'm very happy that he packed it so well, because I physically watched the UPS guy just toss this thing on my porch and drop it. Alright, let's go ahead and crack into this thing. I'm really excited. Inside, one of the coolest 67 style Flying Vs you're ever gonna see. As soon as, once again, I get it out of this packing material. Oh man. Be still my heart. It looks even better than I was expecting. So this right here is the Lenny Kravitz Signature Flying V. And Lenny Kravitz, if you're not familiar with him, he was really big in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's like when I'm a little kid, right? So I definitely heard a lot of Lenny Kravitz growing up. And in my eyes, he was like one of the original rock stars to me. I did not grow up with classic rock music and stuff like that. That wasn't really until Guitar Hero influenced my life when I found out about the majesty of all that. But if you're not familiar with him, he's an American singer-songwriter. He's a record producer, a multi-instrumentalist. He's even an actor occasionally. And his musical style is kind of interesting. It like blends rock with blues. He's got some soul, funk, jazz. Some of his bigger songs include Fly Away. You know, I want to fly away. Always on the Run is like one of my favorite songs by him. I'll definitely be paying some tribute to that while playing this thing. Even though technically it's Slash that did the very nice funky riff, but I love that. He had a really cool cover of American Woman. That's actually the first time I had ever heard that song. Then the song again got played on the radio all the time. It's a nice, good, clean song, but it's not my favorite by any means. So let me know down in the comment section, what is your favorite Lenny Kravitz song while we take a look at this. So Lenny is known for having a lot of vintage guitars, you know, 58s, 59s, 60s, but he's most well known for his Flying V. And he actually had 4 of them from 1967. So when the Gibson Custom Shop approached him and said, hey, we want to do a signature guitar with you, what would you like? This is what he decided to have him do. He wanted a 67 style Flying V. Now, it's not a perfect reissue by any means, but he wanted this black sparkle finish. And whenever you see one of these things online, you can never capture the finish as beautiful as it is. Like, I was fully expecting this to be very similar to the modern Flying V and the Ebony Prism. It doesn't have the purple sparkle to it. It's just got a little bit of like gold and silver sparkle to it. This is a phenomenal example. It's pretty cool. I would have preferred a slightly darker fretboard, but at the same time, the real rosiness kind of matches with this. But you've got the gold mirrored pickguard with the golden hardware. The vibrola on here actually says Lenny. That's a spec that I kind of forgotten about these. But besides that, you also have the golden mirror Gibson truss rod with the matching headstock. And then you've got a screen print of his signature, as well as the number produced and what number this is, as well as your regular serial number that also doubles that. So how many did they make of these? This is why you've never heard of these before. Only 125. That's really low. Then obviously the serial number LK, Lenny Kravitz 089, telling us it's the 89th one made. So a couple of weeks ago, I missed one of these. Well, not missed. I decided to pass on it and wait for a better example because that one had a headstock repair. But that one got bought, it got flipped, and then this thing showed up and it's like, yes, my patience paid off. This is supposedly just collected. They never really played it. I mean, there's some tarnishing to the gold hardware here, but it's really clean shape. I'm probably going to end up keeping this thing just because of how cool and limited it is. But let's see, what other kind of case candy do we got in here? Looks like we've got our golden vibrola arm. Uh-oh. Where's our certificate of authenticity? It's a big paper sheet. And the seller did send me a photo of it. Aha! I think I found it. It might be in this cardboard. So far, looking so good. Ah, yes, here it is, the very important COA. They're so large, most people end up losing them, so having it is a huge benefit, and it even matches the serial numbers. But first impressions of this, yeah, I'm digging it. It's super lightweight. 67 style Flying V, very rounded neck on this. Like, it's not overly thick, but it's got a good shape to it. Oh yeah, that's a nice shape. I like that. Let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench, take an individual look at its parts and specs, and then get to that playing demo. Inside of Lenny's signature Flying V, let's go ahead and take a look. So, a lot of what I thought was gold tarnishing or wear and tear, whatever it is, actually just ended up being like caked on dust. This thing is really clean looking. So, what we've got going on here is like a clear plastic for the pickguard that's been like gold tinted, and then underneath it they apply the mirror treatment. So that's what this grayish backing is on here. That's that reflective material that you see through on the top. But this is the look through of that gold transparent topper. So that just creates this whole golden vibe that's a mirror. Pretty cool. Now, pickguards like these are very prone to cracking, so you gotta be careful not to over tighten screws on this one. But thankfully, so far, this one's okay. But strangely enough, on Musician's Friend's old listing for this, it said it had 57 classic pickups. But judging by those markings, these are Burstbucker. Maybe some of them got 57 classics, but this stuff has never been touched, I can guarantee you that. But what I did find interesting about this whole situation is it appears Gibson forgot the ground wire for the bridge. So I took the trem system off these screws, and you can see right here it's routed for one of those ground wires to be here, and then it would come out here. So at first I thought, okay, I pulled this off. Oops, I accidentally yanked that off. I need to reattach it, but it's not there. Like, they've got the normal grounding wire going from this post to all this stuff to be good, but yeah, apparently left the factory without that little small wire there. Now that's easy enough to put in. Shove one through there, and then you crank down the tailpiece onto that, then attach that here somewhere, and you'd be good to go. But it appears to have left the factory that way, so I'm not going to mess with it. Man, look at all this sparkle finish. This video documentation really helps you show what you were missing on these Lenny Kravitz Flying Vs. It kind of reminds me of the Fender Texas T color, but it doesn't have like that green hue to it. It stays very black and gold, but it's not over the top and in your face. But there you can see what the control route looks like, as well as our pickups. Surprisingly, it has a short neck tenon, but other than that, everything's looking pretty basic here. Our pickups within the circuit read 8.11 k ohms in the bridge position, and our neck, about the same, 8.1, so those are definitely Burstbuckers, not 57 classics. And in the middle for fun, 4.05. The bridge itself is a real ABR1 bridge drilled directly into the top. You don't have any studs. This is a custom shop. And it is a wired ABR1 bridge done up in gold. Reads Gibson ABR1 on the back. Then I've got the thumb wheels over here. As far as our controls, 2 volumes and a master tone, 3-way toggle switch, output jack on the front. But I do want to mention something peculiar about this one. So all the screws in this were gold, except for one. There was one that was silver. So that either means it was replaced at one point in time, but knowing that this was collector owned and it's in the condition that it is now, is that a unique spec that he made them do? The 7th screw, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, has to be chrome, whereas everything else is gold. I'd be interested to see if anybody else's was like that, if somebody who happens to own one of these is watching this video. But here's our tailpiece vibrola combination here. It reads Lenny, as we were discussing in the unboxing segment, and it just secures to the top with those 3 screws. Some 67 style Flying Vs would have these. You could also find them on melody makers of the time. This has got that walrus tooth at the top, as people like to call it. Essentially, you just put the ball end of the strings in here, and then you press down on it and it bends this metal bit and just creates a light warble effect. Out of all the crazy vibratos that Gibson has, I would say this is the one that functions the best out of like the sideways ones and other things like that. However, none of them are perfect. Now I've got all the screws back in. I just thought we'd do a quick close-up. So you can actually see through to the mahogany wood grain if you look at it at certain lighting angles. I'm not sure if that's going to show up on camera, but if you get it in the light just right, you can just barely tell. So this is a straight up mahogany body. Really, there's not much special to this thing. other than it has a special finish and has Lenny's name attached to it, and obviously the fancy pickguard. But moving on from the mahogany body, we can check out the mahogany neck with the rosewood fretboard. This rosewood board has some nice streakiness to it. Like, if somebody told me this was Brazilian and it had a paper that said it was Brazilian, I'd probably believe it, but I'm not the best at identifying woods. I doubt it's actually Brazilian, though. I just thought it had some pretty cool color. But strangely enough, he opted for the acrylic inlays instead of going fancy with mother of pearl or trying to do any type of like block inlay style. He just wanted it to be similar to his real 67s that he owns. And I mean, those things are really expensive guitars. 22 medium jumbo frets, 24.5-inch scale length, 12-inch radius. It's all the regular stuff here. However, I will say, this neck so far is one of the most comfortable Vs I've felt. Jeez, that's tiny. 1.55 inches. I think that's the smallest nut width we've ever measured in the entirety of the show. Then up at the 12th, not even a full 2 inches, 1.99. Great guitar for small-handed people. But then you go to the first fret neck depth, chunky, 0.91. I bet it's a full 1 inch up here. Almost, 0.97. This neck is quite fascinating. Because now that I know it's so skinny up here, that's why it feels so rounded. It's great and comfortable for chords. Sometimes if you have big hands, this could be cramped feeling, but since it fills out your hand, it's actually comfortable. So far, I haven't actually sat down and played this. I just did a couple of strummings. So I'll get you a side profile shot right here before we go to the contour gauge. I think this shows it off really well. You almost have like a U-shaped neck at the very beginning, very skinny and deep, but then it transforms more into like a C, almost a D-ish shaped neck. Face of the headstock just looks like this. Our truss rod is in perfect shape. Let's take a look at the truss rod cover. This is actually pretty interesting. It's the same material as the pickguard, but being all reflective, it kind of makes the Gibson logo look blurred at some angles. Like, if I didn't know that said Gibson right now, I'd be like, what? It's because it's got like a shadow behind it sometimes. But from straight on, you can read it. But it's got the same backing as the pickguard. Same golden clear. But this thing was sold to me as mint, and leave it to me, I found the one big blemish on this thing. By this tuner. Something happened. It either chipped naturally or that's a ding. And it almost looks like somebody might have touched that up. It's either that or that's just what that finish looks like underneath there. But I did find that the Strat buttons have been replaced on this, so it's not 100% original either. But a small little ding like that and replace Strat buttons, I'm not going to let that scare me. Because I brought up that headstock repaired one for a reason. I mean, clean ones just, they don't show up. But let's go ahead and flip it over to the back now. Not much to really show you back here because it's all a top routed instrument, so you don't have routes back here. But we can take a second to look at the replaced Schaller strap locks on here. They're black, so it hides the original ones. They're just your normal golden brass. And the other one's actually right here, okay. But no binding on this or anything fancy like that, just a cool sparkle finish. This thing has not been gigged. You know, it's kind of strange. If it was a collector's instrument, why would they swap the Strat buttons? He must have like played it with white gloves or something. I don't see any big scratches in it. But interesting neck join right here. It's got that D-shaped heel. Obviously, moving up the backside here, you got that black sparkle once again until we get to our Gibson Custom Shop logo. I think it's kind of a letdown that he didn't actually sign these, and that it's just a silkscreen decal. And that was certainly an interesting choice to put what number out of 125 you've got when the serial number also tells you that. But I guess it's nice because then I thought I found something special when I was doing research on this before I'd opened the guitar that I found, oh, only 125? Nah, it's on the back of the headstock. I don't need to show you this article to prove it. I thought that was a really low number for something this cool. Like, I don't even care if you don't like Lenny Kravitz. This is just a really sweet looking flying V. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit cheaper than crazy prices that these will likely end up selling for, check out the Guitar Center exclusive mirror flying V. That's very similar to this, just not gold. As far as the tuner style, it's double line single ring Klusons, vintage style. I can already tell this is a resonant, lightweight beast, but here's what it is on the scale, just a little under 7 pounds, 6 pounds, 14 ounces. So let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Okay, let's go ahead and run through these tones. We'll start with something simple, neck pickup. I like the guitar, but I'm not digging the tones. It just sounds kind of flat in comparison to some of the other guitars I was playing today. I mean, they're decent. It's good tones. I think this thing could use a real setup. The action, despite, you know, kind of being decked down on the bridge, seems kind of high. But when I first got it, it was like super low, so I don't know what happened. Maybe I need to tweak the truss rod a little bit. Let's go ahead and try some distortion now. Now that we know all about the Lenny Kravitz signature Flying V, what are my final thoughts on this thing? It's a really cool Flying V. Was it my favorite V I've ever played? No, but it is one of the cooler looking ones. I mean, 67 style, lyre vibrola, sparkle black finish. What's not to love about this? Now for my own personal preferences tonight, these pickups didn't really do much for me. I was playing other guitars that I enjoyed more, but I think this thing's just a good setup away from being a fantastic instrument. I mean, can you blame it? It's sat in a case since 2002. So after 20 years, I could imagine it might need a professional setup. So troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed checking this one out. If you happen to see one of these and you like Lenny Kravitz or you just like the way it looks, I would suggest it based on that. It is a great collectible instrument. However, for the rest of us, you know, just pick up one of those mirror Flying Vs these or customize a different flying V, maybe do a custom sparkle finish, it'd be a heck of a lot cheaper and a lot more readily available than waiting for one of these things to show up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.